Hey guys, welcome back. This is Lucid, and we are jumping back into the tournament finals. It's turn 39. Let us see what it holds for us. And we have a message from Ohm. Time to go big or go home. Jotun's... Actually, let's do a quick recap of what happened last episode. We had a huge battle between Jotunheim and Ohm, which Ohm decisively won. So pretty cool. It's at like 20 minutes in the last episode, so if you missed it, go back and check that out. Anyway, we had that battle, and then Ohm decided to go on the offensive after that into Jotunheim, even though he's lost most of his land to Vanaheim, which I found to be a bit of a questionable decision. But he's trying to eliminate one of his 2v1 kind of adversaries, which I can kind of understand, but I don't know. Anyway. And meanwhile, Yis is going really hard after Vana Ruse. So that's basically what's going on. And in Vanaheim we're also fighting. So time to go big or go home. Jotun's hero unit could have been doing Aerofin, but instead he thugged him out. Now he is retreated to a random province and has no air gems, so it's unlikely he can cast it next battle. Maybe he also never got Enchantment 6, which is weird because he got Enchantment 5 pretty soon. Possibly his research is really bad because he's been making lots of slow to recruit Scrotty and Gaija and whatnot. Probably more devastating would be his own Wailing Winds, especially as he cuts off my retreat paths. But there is even less reason for him to go Evocation. I assume End is taking forever to move his armies from the east to fight Van. Right now I'm trading, and that's the other thing, right? Like all the armies that go they go west to fight Vanheim, not going to be available to fight Yis. Right now I'm trading for gems and gear to Yis mostly for gold, which is barely keeping me afloat. I will have a solid anti-raid force around my camp this turn that can confidently clear Jotun thugs or Van raiding parties. Okay, so that's good. He's finally figured this out. Or he thinks he has. We'll see if he has. And I can gradually start reclaiming land while dealing with infrastructure blows to Jotun while End starts causing damage to Vanheim. There's still a way to make this work. I also gave a pile of unused water gems to Vana Ruse so he can put up a big Frozen Sea Ice Global. Alright. And so let's go ahead. We'll start with Ohm since we got a message from him. Or what is left of Ohm. Okay, so here it's kind of hard looking at the map to figure out where Ohm is, because there's not a ton of Ohm left in Ohm. We end up pinging this just because. Anyway, he's patrolling his capital with a lot of dudes. Let's see what he's patrolling his capital with. Whoops. Yeah, this is going to mess up the mic boom. This is really going to mess up a thug. Like all these really hard-hitting dudes and... did he give these guys gems? No, I don't think so. They're just, like an E-crossbow? Yeah. They're gonna mess something up fierce. But they don't have a battle here. And instead, Ohm has moved on top of Jotun's capital. And let's see if Jotun has decided to defend. He's only got Tajits out as a... I don't know how this to me does not make sense, guys. Now, Tajits has a few things going for him. He can do air shield. Unfortunately, he also has broken armor and broken helmet, which means his protection, I think, gets cut in half. I think that's how this works. But I think it's only this armor protection, which is pretty high. Not the natural protection, but I could be wrong. Some of these are not PD, though, which inclines me to think he may possibly HP route himself if everything dies but Tajits. But he has done air shield. And he does have regen from the Bless. He does have a shield, but this shield is going to probably die reasonably quickly to like the hard-hitting Olmish troops. That's my guess. And with the shield gone, I think he'll follow shortly thereafter. But he will be able to deal with the crossbow fire. But that's only really part of the equation. He's also now got to deal with morale checks. And his morale is good, but not great. I think he's just going to run, to be honest. I think all these guys dying is going to HP rout him. Okay. So he's taking too much damage. He's too close, and these Iron Blizzards are like, look at the cluster on this. They're all... Oh my gosh, he's getting completely wrecked. And then Bonds of Fire holding him in place, so he can't actually run. Did they get him? They got him. They got him. Did he have... He didn't even... He wasn't even twice spawned. Alright. I mean, some major mistakes. First of all, I think, like, if you played Dominions a lot, you just know, like, what super combatants can do and what they can't, and what you send them against and what you don't. And this, there's two things. One is this is not really the kind of thing you want to send it against, because these guys hit so hard. Like, 32 damage magic weapons, pretty hard to thug against. Second of all, you definitely don't want him on attack rear. You definitely want him at range, so all the range stuff doesn't like 100% hit him. So the attack rear is a mistake. Also, I think this was supposed to fluff. Yeah, okay, this guy's scripted to do body ethereal and stuff, but he's not in the right tile. He needs to be right next to him. So I think this guy was supposed to be a fluffer and fluffed this guy, and he didn't. Now, I think he still would have gotten HP routed, but he likely might have lived. You don't want to bring these troops, like, I think the combination of the PD routing won't automatically trigger Tajits to rout, unless it's like an enormous PD dump. But if you bring your own troop, it's going to help contribute though. So if you bring your own troops and your own troops die and the PD dies, and then especially if he takes a bit of damage, he will rout, which is what we saw. Now, if they got body ethereal on him, it's not going to help against the infantry once the infantry close in, because they've got magic weapons, but it'll help a good bit versus some of the things, like the archers, but it won't help against Iron Blizzard, which I believe is magical damage. But this just is not the play. It's wrong on a lot of levels. Anyway. And the final thing that's wrong about it is it's a really rare, like, it's high air access. Like, air 3 is a big deal. It's a really big deal. Especially on a nation that doesn't really get air. So, we know he has enchantment, because he was doing turbo communions. For him to not twice-born Tajits, major mistake. Because he would be coming back as a Tartarian, which also is pretty cool. But even if he didn't, even if he came back as a normal white mage, if you want to use him as a super combatant, you really do not want him, you don't want to lose the path. So there's every reason in the world to twice-born him. So that was a major mistake. He seems to, though, have thought that maybe that would work, that this would be successful, which I rate the success likelihood of that at 0%. 0%. You know, sometimes you see a battle and you're like, oh, it could have gone one way or another. There was just no way in the world this was going to work out with how he had it done. Yeah. Possibly a different kit, different script, different fluffers. You know, it's not that it's out, like, completely impossible in any way, but the way it was set up, it was completely impossible. And I would say, in general, it would be unlikely. But it could... I think it could be done. I think you probably could give... If you had access to all the Construction 6 gear of the different paths, we could probably... And all the different fluffers that Jotun can use. You could probably come up with a configuration that would stall this battle out. And then cutting off the retreat routes would have won. Because he was able to do that successfully. But now he has a big problem. He's never getting Tajits back. And he has an enormous Olmish army on top of his capital. And his capital has a fair amount of wall strength. But there are sappers and stuff in here. And sappers break through walls pretty damn quickly. So we'll see. But this is kind of mutual destruction at this point. Like, Ulm has been heavily, heavily reduced. But if he caps Jotunheim, Jotunheim's going to be in very deep shit. I just think these two are going to take each other down with them. Which, anything is better than that. Like, for Jotunheim making peace, like, sure, he's kind of got to make a play, but he could also make a play now and, like, steal this from Yis. And if everybody steals stuff from Yis, then it would be kind of okay. He could also just rebuild his army and vulture on, like, wait for Ulm and Vanaheim and End to all have their wars, and whoever's weakest between Ulm and whatchamacallit, an End, he could go after them. But I think for Jotunheim, attacking here is just not going to work out. It's just not a good idea. Because he's definitely not going to be able to do the killing blow. And even if he gets like a little bit of raiding income, is the raiding income he's going to get really going to make up for all the losses he's going to have? Like not having a capital or losing all the gear that was on this guy. And he's going to have more, right? And yeah, we'll see. I don't see this going terribly well. But Ulm is definitely still having scrotty problems, so we'll see how this ends up getting handled. Okay, so that is that part of the conflict. Let's come down here and look at Vanheim. So Vanheim attacks here with 10 Vans, clears out some PD. Here he has a reasonably big battle versus Ulm, and let's see what Ulm decides to muster. I think for this, the best thing you could do is Earth Elemental spam. Oh, but Vanheim made Air Elementals. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. He was going to summon Earth Elementals. They just came through too fast. And the Air Elementals and all that, yeah. He could have done turn 1 Earth Elementals, but I don't know if it would have really skip Earth Power. It takes more gems. And I don't know if it would have mattered much, to be honest. So Vanheim striking first blood in terms of infrastructure loss against Ulm. So far, Ulm's been able to hold on to most of his infrastructure, but things are not looking great for him. And yeah, so basically, this whole transaction, it's looked. This is interesting. So up here near where Pythium was, Ulm has managed to get a little bit of PD in what was left of his dudes. And gets them all blessed up, but there's a pretty fearsome elf force coming in. And they'll make pretty quick work of the PD. Oh, but they have Iron Blizzard. You know what I think? I think if he forward positioned this mage so those Iron Blizzard shots actually mattered, he probably would have won this. He just wasted those first Iron Blizzard shots. I think that actually would have made the difference here. And that would have been pretty important. So he loses a Van Jarl, which let's see if the Van Jarl had any gear. Oh, this was the Chad 25 fire gem Van Jarl. But yeah, I think if his stuff was like super far forward positioned, these infantry would have gotten closer to the Vans like while the PD was still around. And those few Iron Blizzards might have made a difference. Whereas you can see they hit some things, but they would have hit a lot more if they were closer. But anyway, Vanheim takes this, but at a real cost. This is a significant loss. He loses potentially some of the 25 gem items. Loses 7 Vans, which is a turn of cap recruitment. So not nothing. Unfortunately, Ulm's claim on any of the land he had near Pythium quickly slipping away from him. And by Pythium, I mean, of course, Yis. So yeah, I think that's about it from the Elven front. A few victories down here. You can see him sitting on top of these forts. I don't remember if this is new or if they didn't have PD on it. I don't know. Deeper Elven raiding here. And End looks like they've kind of deathballed up here. I don't know if they had the opportunity to attack last turn. Like to send the attack orders last turn to potentially kill this group. But I feel like if you're End, you probably want to take the fight. But it's looking like something that could unfold is Vanheim just completely laying waste to this whole portion. And if that happens, there will be potentially a real contender for Yis. Speaking of Yis, it's time to come and look at the Vanarusian war front. So Yis has their morvarchs, which will look like they're headed maybe towards Vanarus's cap. So they come here and just clear some PD, but Vanarus's cap is right here. And this is a very serious threat. Now there's a few more raids that come out. A Yissian scout. So I think he's pinging these. Meanwhile, there's a fight on top of... Okay, there's just a scout holding the fort down. So Bandarlog clears his capital. Meanwhile, yeah, more Yissian scouts. I guess this is just seeing if he put PD, but Vana Ruse is not a noob. Vana Ruse is going to put PD. Potentially he's doing something else like pinging, seeing where he wants to cloud trapeze and stuff. It is something you kind of want to do with when you're fighting nations that have access to glamored units. Is you can just, ideally you have more retreat provinces. But he's got some. There were some. So you kind of want to just ping every province that could have an elf in it every turn with a scout. Just send an attack order, put them on retreat. And that way you'll know where all the elves are. That is a good way to handle it. The other way is Spirit Sight Scouts. So anyway, the one kind of default one everybody can do is Black Servants. And Conjuration. Where is it? Did it get removed from me or something? I could have sworn it was right here. Possible I'm blind or something, or that it's just not showing up for my nation. But anyway, I was pretty sure it was in Conjuration. Anyway, so that is about what's happened here. If we just look at the Yis flags, we can see they're making progress, but this wasn't quite the same turn that Yis had before. It's possible he was expecting maybe more counter raiding, and we can't see a lot of the morvarchs, like the raiding squads. But it's possible he was kind of positioning them to prepare for, some kind of counterattack. So not a ton of peace movement one way or another on this part of the board. Also very possible that Yis decides to take this from Ulm. They have a nap, but obviously Ulm isn't going to get this anytime soon. So anyway, we'll see if that province shifts hands. So that, I think, is basically it for this turn. Oh, this is interesting. We got one battle here where End manages to intercept some vans. And his Sacreds trade pretty well with them, with that bonus attack bless. And Sacreds, especially with a little bit of a bless, they don't need too much. They do trade surprisingly well with some kind of, otherwise better Sacreds. So there we go. Pretty major loss for Vanheim. So he's definitely down. If he's getting like maybe 7 vans a turn, 6, I don't know how many he's getting. He's lost more than that this turn, twice that. So at least. Yeah. But his province graph is probably shooting through the roof. We'll just look at that super quick. Oh, we can't see the last one, but it's probably like right up around here now. But he's still nowhere close to the Yis. I mean, look at this. He's just so far ahead of him. Even though he's looking... Oh, wait, we can't see it. He might actually be close. He's probably like right here, actually. For whatever reason, I don't have the latest graph for him. So let's go ahead and go to turn 40. A message has arrived from Ohm. Didn't quite one turn pop the cap. That would have been surprising. This means he barely has any chaff inside, though, unless he has another air mage. I feel like it's a bad move to have lost his air hero trying to thug. I feel pretty good if he just throws Guy Scrotty at this army. I don't see a lot of flesh eaters, so whatever I don't outright kill, I'll probably get routed we'll probably get routed by Wailing Winds eventually. There's a big risk that my guys just run away into enemy territory, so keep fingers crossed. I have a strong enough mini army around my cap to safely take back provinces from Scrotty Van squads if I don't outright fail on Jotun's cap. The next few turns may be very interesting. Okay, so similar message to before. We have some magic phase attacks. So Yis was pinging around with scouts, probably to see good magic phase targets, and apparently he selected a couple. So let's see where he goes. So he's attacking Vanarus here with a magic phase Morgan princess. She's got an eye shield. I'm suspecting this is actually from Vana Ruse. Because Yis probably has higher construction to make like vine shields, which are better. But I think this was a gift. And then nothing too surprising here. I think this was this was a Vanarusian fort. Okay, and we'll start off by looking at the elf war. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there was a big battle here. Vanarus rides out. He's got a bunch of these Chud herdmen, and I think he also has some berserkers. Very, very, very killy units. He's also got the Vanarusian. He's got Vanarusian sages and Vignedas, who can do what I expect. He's going to probably do a bunch of legions of steel, a bunch of strength of giants, a bunch of moss bodies. That's what I'm expecting. On Yis's side, we've got a pretty large amount of morvarchs. Now, the one thing I think he's missing is if he could also, and I forget how much astral access Vanarus gets. I know they have some, but I can't remember how much. Or on who. I could be wrong. Maybe they don't have it. Luck would be great here. To spam luck over all these guys. Because they're going to be very, very killy. And these morvarchs aren't ultra high defense. They do have glamour, so they're going to dodge a hit or two. But yeah. So we'll see. But what else does he have? Yeah, basically a thug. I don't know what the nature gems are going to be used for. He's got enough to maybe do mass flight. That would be devastating. Because, yes, I mean, Vanarus is going to mostly rely on fluffing his guys, whereas Yis can do a much more powerful alpha strike. This guy's probably doing anti-magic. We'll watch it in slow motion and kind of see what happens here. So summon earth power, a bunch of moss bodies. I want to see what the air random does here. Cast misform. That's odd. Okay. Oh, Marble Warriors. Wow. Okay. Now that's something special. That's very special. I see Chillars. I'm not sure where the Chillars are coming from. That could just... Oh, no, that's just the effect of the spell. So, yeah, okay. I don't know if he's also doing Legions of Steel. I feel like he could. It's going to get their defense up even higher. These guys are going to be really hard to kill now. Oh, Foul Vapors. Wait, but Yis would have cast it, right? Oh, no. Not something you always expect from Yis, but, you know, Yis is a nation that can cast Foul Vapors. Every Yis always takes poison resistance. Every Yis I fought. But I don't see them casting Foul Vapors a ton. I don't know why. Could be a lot of the times I'm fighting Yis, I'm an undead nation. Now, it would be trivial, really, for Vanarus to put up Poison Ward, and it would make a huge difference here. Oh man, almost everybody has Moss Body. Strength of Giants on almost everyone. These guys. Now, formations are going to matter. So, like this guy who's out here on his lonesome, he's actually pretty tough. The other problem, and honestly, this would be a reason for Vanarus to do Poison Ward on his own, is just because, like, all this Moss Body spam, when the Moss Body pops, it's going to poison everybody around him. And versus this many morvarchs, Moss Body is going to pop. So it would be good to put on, but it's also going to prevent a lot of this poison damage from getting through. But this is a very, very, very fearsome stack from Vanarus. And once they go berserk, yeah, they've got pretty good attack and defense. Like, they're going to hit probably 25% of the time. Man, they really could do with, well, no, the Fire Breath probably isn't going to do so much because they have really high resistance. I think almost all the damage they're taking here is poison. You can see the morvarchs are getting absolutely mulched. I think what's going to happen... But these guys are getting pretty low from poison, too. Man, if Yis is probably going to retreat soon. It's going to be a question of morale checks. Who retreats first? Vanarus routed. Now, even though Vanarus had way more units on the field, his units were more damaged. And that was from Foul Vapors. So this really is a case of the battle being won almost entirely by Foul Vapors. And when I say won, I mean it was won at a gruesome cost. So aside from not dropping poison wards, this is just a perfect play by Vanarus. I mean, this is, like, if you are looking to play Vanarus, how he has this army set up is an extremely good generic setup for Vanarus. Except he should also be casting Poison Ward, which is something he could do pretty trivially. But that said, when we look at the Butcher's Ledger, it's a pretty devastating... It's a devastating defeat for Vanarus. And this is going to... You know, after the losses he had on top of Bandarlog, this is going to be really hard for him to recover from. Major mage commitment. A lot of the mages died. A ton of his troops died. And these guys are not cheap. These are 35 gold to pop. So, you know, major gold expenditure. Probably, if we add it all up, close to like 4,000 or 5,000 gold from Vanarus. I'm not going to do the math, but maybe more. Probably above 5,000. So like a major commitment and loss from Vanarus. But it was not a free victory for Yis. In fact, for a long time, it was looking like Vanarus would win. And in terms of, I really thought Vanarus was going to win the morale check watching that battle. Because just there was not much from Yis left. The thing is that the stuff that was left from Vanarus just had so little HP that it triggered the army rout threshold sooner. But it still came at a rather staggering cost of Morvarch Knights. This is the first major loss that Yis has had. I mean, he still won the fight, so that's good. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it does like fit into the camp of kind of a misplay not doing Poison Ward here. Only because of the Moss Body. If I was playing Vanarus, I'm not sure I would have thought about about Foul Vapors coming from Yis. Though I think anytime you're using human troops or like something this high commitment, it's probably something to consider, especially when the nation does have path access. I just know it's not something I might have thought about. But with doing Moss Body, I think it does qualify as like a misplay, not doing Poison Ward too. But still, just a really cool battle. Really cool battle here. And what that also kind of means is that what it also means... Oh, I wonder if this guy had a place to retreat to. Oh, I think he did. Because he won this magic phase attack, and I think he had this province before. So, what this means is it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be difficult for Vanarus to now hold any of his key infrastructure against Yis. Yis took a major beating, but he took a beating. His beating was weak enough. Or he was made. Enough of the Vanarusian stuff was killed that Yis is going to feel confident moving in the siege chaff. And the siege chaff is probably going to come in here and, take. I think it's like I think if I'm playing Yis, I probably focus a lot of the raiding and like divert a lot of Vanarus's attention to the Vana Ruse area, and you get a lot of income, and take the siege chaff stuff and go finish off Bandar Log and get this throne and get this, maybe, like focus on this stuff, like the place where there's no military. Bring all the siege chaff over there, and yeah. Knights coming in here, taking out Vanarus's PD, says that they'll take over protection duties. And Bandar Log striking out, declaring to the world that their cap circle is theirs. And then there's a bunch of Blackhawks and some Marrows on top of this Vanarusian fort. And yeah, morvarchs attacking up here. Oh my gosh. They're coming from the top too. I kind of didn't realize that. Yeah, this is from Satis. So the other thing we have from Yis's perspective is Satis strikes out at Satis with a hero duel. And then there's a battle inside Satis, which I imagine has his god, maybe? No? Just a bunch of garbage? Wait, who cast Foul Vapors? A white mage? I think that's Satis's. This guy did? Okay. The thing is, he's poisoning his own troops. Yes has poison resistance, dude. He's gonna poison all your lions. Yeah, these guys are all blessed, right? Yeah. Yeah, honestly, Skelly Spam might have worked here. Especially if you got, like, Howl up. Okay, so if we look at the battle report here, Yis lost 2 Morgan champions, but only 2 Morvarch Knights. I'm not sure. Let's see how the champions died. It's kind of interesting. I wonder if they were just unlucky. It could be. I don't think he had anybody here to do Divine Blessing. It could be not everybody got blessed. Let me just do a sampling real quick. Yeah, there's one that didn't get blessed. They both did, so they didn't die to Foul Vapors, I don't think. I'm guessing they just got smacked by these pains. Well, there we go. So Satis now safely in the watchful eyes and caring arms of Yes, and unlikely to change hands again in the near term. Whereas Vanheim's attentions are directed elsewhere, and Vanarus looks to be on the back foot right now. But yeah, we can see siege chaff armies coming in from the north. For Yes, it's his south, but for Vanarus, it's his north. So anyway, yeah, siege chaff armies coming in. Not very clear how long this fort's going to hold up. Probably only a few more turns. And yeah, it's looking like the walls are just closing in around Vanarus. And then Yis is going to be truly enormous. When he has all of Vanarus, all of Bandar Log, he'll be at close to 6 caps. I think once you have 6 caps and nobody else has more than 2, I think you're pretty much a shoe-in at that point. I don't think there's too much else. Okay, raids this back from Yes. Yeah, I don't think there's too much else more on that front. Let's come down and take a look at Ohm. Oh, whoops. It was me pinging Ohm. Ohm's army. Interestingly, he does not even try to control his retreat routes. He also has not cracked the fort, which he was thinking he would one turn pop the fort. So something has happened that kept him from one turn popping it. I don't know how many sappers he has. Okay, let's check. 28. And these guys have a siege strength of 6. So that's like... yeah. I don't think... I think he's a 3-turn pop when you sum up all of his army. So I think it's actually really close. But unfortunately, we can see just an enormous number. Now, there's the patch we're looking at this in actually has a bug in it where the army... You can see the armies are all 1 unit type. Here it's all Gaijas, but it's not really. It's mostly Vedi archers with some Gaija. So anyway, some of my casting will be a little bugged until they fix it. Anyway, he does have an army with all his Vedi and some Gaija here that probably will be able to consolidate on his cap in time for a final fight. But Olm feels pretty confident fighting the garbage. Thugs come out, apparently doing pretty good. Olm had said in his message he felt pretty comfortable controlling his cap circle. And he's starting to take it back, but I wouldn't say he's taking it back with any large degree of force. And yeah, not able to keep control of his forts either. It's just not looking very good. Like, even if he gets Jotunheim's cap, I just don't feel very good about this at all. But I've already said that. So yeah, let's take a look at Olm's province graph. I don't know if we have it. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna fix this fighting Jotunheim, buddy. You gotta fight Vanaheim. Like, this is all his stuff that Vanaheim took from him. But I'd be interested to know if they actually considered diplomatic, like, peace. I don't know. Anyway. That's happening. Scotty kills some barbarians. And I think that's it for this turn. I think we'll do one more turn with this episode, and then we'll call it turn 41. Okay. Yes sends in some Blackhawks, which he normally does to snipe commanders when he doesn't expect there's PD. And the Sage escapes, but there was a Jarl here with some herdmen that die. Must have reinforced or perhaps done a ritual. Okay. A message from Vanarus. Fortunately, my pretender's tongue grew back when he came back to life. Okay, so he lost mute. That's really good. He has the magic pass to take the staff immediately. He's still blind in both eyes, has a bad leg from all the mind burns, but he can empower and at least blood feast that off pretty quickly. At least enough to kill some knights. As obviously I'm not going to actually save all of my empire. I've essentially lost, as there's no diplomatic help, no prospect of diplomatic help, and I cannot hope to trade favorably enough with Yes unless he starts chain staling or something. I don't know if I could have done anything to prevent this outcome of the game. Yes crushing Atlantis almost immediately is obviously out of my control, and a big safe underwater nation will always be able to find some coastal victims that are under attack and gank the crap out of them. If Yes suffered any significant casualties against Satis, who was fighting 2 other players at the time, or Pythium, I did not see them. No, he did not suffer any significant casualties. But even if he did, very few players had land access to actually take advantage of the temporary weakness. Possibly, we're gonna have to do a. We're gonna have to talk. I mean, we've already talked a ton about like opportunities where people could have done something. We've spent a lot of time talking about that. So this is Vanheim's or Vanaruse's perspective. Possibly, I could have invaded Vanheim early and hopefully gotten big enough to at least give Yis a good fight with a smaller border to defend. But it's clear that cooperation among land players is not a thing that's ever going to happen in this game. Is that it? "34 Morvarch knights and 1 Morgan princess dead, and not even the slightest shred of satisfaction or sliver of hope of victory. Yis can combine the knights in my territory to make an army of 30 or so, and there's another 30 or so in former Satist territory. And most likely there's another 30 or so assembling in Yis to be dispatched where they're needed. With the resources of 4 nations and a huge uncontestable underwater core, Yis can face tank anything and everything a 1.5 size nation like me could throw at him, and just march more troops over the bodies. There might have been some hope if Ulm and Vanheim and End had helped, and each took 35 knights each, but we all had diplomatic discussions about the Yisian threat back when Yis attacked Pythium, and the attacks on Ulm and Vanheim were launched by choice when it was already clear that Yis would be finished with Pythium in less than 5 turns. I can't keep replacing expensive units like Chud Berserkers. I'm making a small pile of them in my capital, and we'll have 35 next turn. But my next research target is Leech Spam. It's one of the few things my mages can kill knights with, while standing behind a cheap massable units, since the knights have pretty good resistance coverage, almost everything, and the stats are just too good to take the damage from chaff. I'll pick up Ice Devils on the way, hopefully put them to work with whatever gem income I still have by then. For now, counter raiding with 7 disposable Vanavogs and my Pretender. Okay, and I read those in the wrong order. So Vanarus taking in a deep sigh, as the prospects indeed look very, very bleak for them. I think we will start with Vanarus, because he sent the message, or most of the messages, so let's see what happens in what is called Vanarus. So, Morgan Princess. Hold it, wait. Wait a minute. Turn 40. It may have been the battle report lied to me. All right, this is indeed turn 40. Oh, maybe I was looking at the wrong province. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes I get a little confused. I'm old and senile. Turn 41. Okay, yeah, I was looking at this province thinking it was this one. So this is where there's still a pretty big stack of Morvarchs. Here, a Morgan Princess comes in. This is the one with the Vine Shield. And we've got a Fluffer with an Evening Star, which is interesting because it will do area of effect fire damage and also inflict weakness. And then a Flesh Eater. And these, he's also got a Ring of Attack, which is going to give bonus bonus attack skill. And I think that will make very, very, very quick work of, and especially with Iron Warriors on, yeah, she's going to get freaking wrecked. Oh, wow. She's actually doing way better than I thought. Lost an Eye. It could have something to... Oh. She does have a Frost Shield. Does he have... He doesn't have any cold protection. Let's actually see how he's getting damaged here. Okay. A small area cold for 6 points. It might be that he needs some cold resistance here. It seems that most of his damage, because he's got pretty high defense too. Or at least he did. You know, it was coming from the cold resistance. And it may be he's getting repelled, too. Her hoof was repelled. Zero points of damage. Oh, wow, she has really good protection. No, she doesn't. Is she getting really lucky on protection rolls? Not sure. Yeah, okay, he won. I thought he would win a lot cleaner. Turns out it was pretty close. Oh, he had Phoenix Pyre too. Yeah, I think if he ran that 20 times, he probably would have won 19 of them. That was closer than I thought it would be. Here he attacks this. Yes, attacks that and is successful. Now, every time you kill one of those Morgan champions, it's actually a kind of big deal. Because they're cap only. So you can't spam them out. I mean, you can, but these ones are not slow to recruit, the Morgan champions. The Morgan princesses, I think, are slow to recruit, but I could be wrong. Let's see if it says here. The champions, 2 recruitment points. These ones are 4. Yeah, so they're sort of slow to recruit, but I think Yes also gets a Citadel, so not quite slow to recruit. Anyway, it hurts every time you kill one. And one has been taken down. Yes pinging with the scout to see what Vana Ruse is doing. Here, yeah, this is where the Great Hawks attacked. And just slowly grinding his way... through Vana Ruse. Importantly, the main party did not roll out here. And I don't know if this lab was here before or if he has built a lab to refresh on gems, which is a thing you can do. He also could have just reinforced with, brought gems here from another province, which seems more likely than building a lab. So, I'm not sure, what Yes is thinking here in terms of where they want to put this army. Because right now it looks like it's, I say this army, right? And you just see these druids. Most likely the army's here. Normally you follow, if you can't see the actual glamored units, you just follow the druids around, and that'll tell you where the army is. I just do that by reflex now. So I'm like, oh, the army, and you're like, what army? Probably here. It could be somewhere else. Yeah. So we'll see. Not sure what they're going to do. Let's come over here and let's look at the Vanaheim and End conflict. Oh, we have a big battle, boys. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Popcorn o'clock. Okay, so what do we have? On inside, we have a bunch of Gog Reavers on the flanks. They're undisciplined, and so they're in a skirmish formation. They're difficult to buff, but they're just phenomenal units. A core of kind of the End... Mirror Guard, and I forget the other kind are Soldier Priests. And in the middle, he's got some of these Femini Sorceresses. Not sure what they're going to do. Does not look like a ton of mage support. He's got this guy. He's got some. This guy has a lot of pearls. If he gets Will of the Fates, I think he's going to have a hard time losing. It's a little early for Will of the Fates to come out, but he has a lot of pearls, so we'll see. But I don't think he can cast it. I don't think there's enough. He has this Holy 4 here. I don't think there's enough communions for that to even be possible. Like maybe Light of the Northern Star. What strikes me about this from inside is extremely low mage commitment. For something where you're going to be risking this many troops, I would think you would want to have more mage commitment. And it was one of the things I had talked about, like with fighting Yes, is you really need, even though these Gog Reavers are really hard to buff, you really want to have some way to give them some kind of buff. I mean, they're just so killy, but they're a little too weak on the defense. On Vanheim's side, we can see he has brought just a ton of stuff. He has a lot of Vans. It looks like about 30 or 40. He's got a mountain of Einhairs. And these, for middle-aged Van, they're not sacred. Commanders are up at the front, and it looks like some of them, the Van Jarls, it looked like, okay, now just one guy may be doing air elementals, but most of these other guys are not. He may be doing storm. This looks like storm, and then everybody else can do storm power. We'll see. Popcorn o'clock. Let's go. Storm power going up, yeah. Fanaticism cast. There goes storm. Man, these troops are getting awfully close to his mages. Okay. Big old thunder strikes coming in. And orb lightning, which is pretty high evocation. I can't remember if it's 6 or 7. It's not like super low. I think it might be 6. It is just doing all sorts of work. And there's a few things we can tell, just I'm pausing it. There's a few things we can tell. One is that this, you can see how most of the soldiers aren't fighting. This type of arrangement is going to favor people with a more killy front line, and it's going to favor folks with more mage support. So this is going to heavily skew this in the favor of Vanheim. Because they're basically all right here in front of this mage artillery. What could you do as End? Maybe have like your Gog Reavers more in the middle, so they're kind of more in the front, because they'll go berserk and hit, and have these guys try to flank just to have more surface area. You do, as End, want to have... You want the battle to be as quick as possible when you're behind in the mage support category. Oh, there goes Earthmeld too. Oh, just disgusting. He's got this these dwarves who are just dropping massive Earthmelds. And I mean, it's done now. Oh, but this, I would say, this gives me very little confidence that End actually would have won against Yes. Which I've been saying for a long time watching it. Like, you know, I think End would do pretty well against Yes. Yes would have mulched this army to hell. And this so far is the biggest real fight we've seen from End. You know, it's turn whatever. What turn is it? Turn 40 something? 41, right? It's turn 41. This is the biggest fight so far, and he gets absolutely crushed. And this was a major commitment from him. So he's actually in a lot of trouble now. What could he have done? Well, first of all, he could have brought a shit ton of Astral Mages and done Soul Slays. Because all these troops are pretty expensive. These are not like cheap troops. They're... Blood Slaves are cheap. Iron Hairs are not super cheap. The Vans are not cheap. I don't even think these guys did anti-magic, right? So Verse and Astral Nation could be pretty risky. Soul Slay Communion, like 20 mages here might have won it for him. The other thing is I think you want luck on all your guys, right? So by this point in the game, you should have Battle Fortune, which you could... It's hard to get on the Gog Reavers, even though it's best on those. But you could at least get it on these guys. Yeah. I think if you do those two things, like if you brought... but basically it's like bring 20 mages, have them spend the first turn or two fluffing with luck, then have them jump in a communion. You know, if you're fancy, you can try to drop Thunder Ward, which would have helped versus all the Thunder Strikes and stuff, and the Orb Lightnings especially would have helped a lot. But that I would put in the fancy category. The basics, like, why I say fancy is it's like, that's reacting to your opponent. The basics are like having a plan for yourself, right? And a plan for yourself is like luck and Soul Slay, which he doesn't really have. His solution is just like throw units at something, which you can do early in the game, but you can't do at turn, 41. It's too late in the game for that. This is like an early game army coming to a mid game fight. So major mistake there. And yeah, this is going to make it look like Vanheim potentially can now run over a bunch of End. So man, this plan from End to attack Vanheim has just majorly backfired. Not only was it going to be awkward territory for him to defend, he's now actually getting properly conquered. Oh man, he gets the morale checks. It's just enough Vans where they can't quite do the damage. Stellar Cascades, pretty heavily nerfed, and if you do it, you need it in kind of higher quantity here. But at least this is probably like as many mages as brought to that other fight. Okay, they probably need to get the hell out. God, that is a trouncing. Only lost 4 Vans to kill all of this. 57 Soldier Priests. These are cap only units. They're not expensive, but they're hard to replace. Ooh, End is on the back foot. Deep on the back foot. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. But for Vanheim, the world is starting to look a bit more like his oyster. And he... God, did I finally turn on... I don't remember when I actually get everybody's scouting info back. Oh. Okay, he's not that much bigger. I think he lost a tiny bit of ground to Ulm and stuff. Ulm, starting to make Ulm look a little bit more like Ulm. We have a Scrotty coming back on top of this fort, where there's just this idiot. Yeah, it's not going to work against the Scrotty. But okay. Over in Ulmland, what is he thinking? What on earth is he thinking? This isn't a gym bait. I mean, it could be. Alright, retreat now. Okay, it was a gym bait. It was a gym bait. Okay. We're cool. We're cool. We are officially cool. And then Ulm gets attacked by knights, which will be kind of hilarious. Oh, knights, you say? Ye silly knights of Indies. What the hell is that? Okay, this actually gem burned better than the other attack did. I actually want to see what spell that is that's making the screen flicker. Pretty sure this is Curse of Stones. Yeah, there it is. This guy's casting it. Okay, but he's got a temporary gem item. The Chassis of the Mountain, which gives him 2 temporary earth gems, which is enough to get Curse of Stones off. Okay, but he has now cracked Jotun's Fort. And I don't see major armies in position to take it back. Maybe there are. And it's possible these guys can... Actually, I think he can move from here all the way to the cap. So we're going to probably have a really big battle on top of Jotunheim's cap next turn. But that will probably be next episode. So yeah, Ulm's starting to kind of defend the homeland a bit. Province count definitely going up for him. But still struggling to maintain control of all of his forts. And it's kind of, you know, if he maybe once he takes Jotun's cap, he'll be able to rake in the gold. But we'll see. We will see. Okay. I think we've covered about everything. So to summarize, Satis has finally been conquered. Vana Ruse managed to inflict some significant damage on Yis, but is kind of getting wrecked. And he's got not only morvarch knights running around, but the siege chaff of Yis is closing in on Vana Ruse like vultures. And meanwhile, Vanheim has shifted his focus from Ohm into End, and it seems to be working. And End, so far, we haven't seen a very impressive show of their mages yet. Which, if we look at the mages of End, they get obviously different ones in all the provinces. But you do get the Holy 2, you get the Holy 3, which you can get everywhere. The Cannibal Shaman, right, which is a blood mage. You can also get the Bitch Mothers, which are the really good blood mages. I don't think you get Recruit Anywhere Astral. So I think you are a bit astral limited to being out of your cap. So I'm not sure. But definitely we're not seeing the mages of End making a great showing so far. Anyway, we'll see you in the next episode, so take care, everyone. Bye.